To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. Jay here, positivesarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Still got the picture of Elon Musk behind me. Nobody's keyed my apartment yet, but then again, how would I know? This place is a fucking shithole. Find me on Instagram at positive_sarcasm. You can email me directly through my website. Just go to the contact page of Positive Sarcasm and you'll be able to get me there. Blah, 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 blah. Or you can email me directly, positivesarcasm at outlook.com, Instagram at positive_sarcasm. You can email me there. You got to request to follow me first. I mostly just post clips we can review and anything I happen to post on YouTube. There you go. That's what that is. I've got the seacoast on my mind for entertainment purposes only. So I'm kind of looking around here. I was out. Obviously, when you move, you have to get rid of some stuff. Well, you don't have to, but then again, if it's like, yeah, I don't need this, I don't need that, this is bullshit. It's like, okay, you know. So I was just out getting rid of a few things, you know, just stupid stuff like a grill I don't use and some weights I no longer need and dumb stuff like that. And some pieces of furniture. I'd be like, what am I going to do with that? Is he sleeping? Yeah, he's probably sleeping. So, yeah, I just was doing some of that, and it's getting a little exhausting getting towards the deadline, you know, for the next chapter in my life and things like that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those big things that's on your brain, but you have to stay focused and make sure you don't miss any, payments or you don't drive into a ditch or you say the wrong thing to somebody. Just those, that's stay on target, like they said in Star Wars. It's that's that cog in my brain. It's like, hey, get ready. When are we gonna start closing up shop here for a few weeks while we, just. Obviously, consolidating focuses to be more successful is not something I'm that great at, but I'm working on it. Everybody's been talking about this guy. We'll get this out of the way because it did end up in my Instagram feed, and I'm like, okay, so I guess let's just freaking get it out of the way while, and then I could just happily move on with my life. So, Ashton Hall, a little lemon in the water. You know that bottle of water right there, Saratoga? That's in like all. This guy's Ashton Hall. I think he played football. Now he's obviously an online influencer, and apparently he's doing very well from the looks of it. I'm not gonna knock this guy because, first of all, stronger than me, more handsome than me, nicer cars than me, and got a lot more money than me. Or did I already say that? Well, we'll just double it because he's got a lot more money than I. I'm not here to knock the guy. But let's just start with that bottled water. Saratoga, it's actually not expensive to get Saratoga bottled water. This is a 16-ounce six-pack for $8.49. So, is there some luxury to it? Maybe. Does he pay for it? I don't know. Maybe he gets a sponsorship and they just drop bottles of water off of him. But anyways, back to what we were discussing. All right. Yep, there you go. Going in the sauna. Saunas are cool. Dude's jacked. Absolutely jacked. Nice bag. I love that shower head, by the way. Still jacked. Ooh. Okay. Thank you. At least it's polite. G-Wagon! A Bentley with 96-inch rims. Obviously exaggerating. First of all, I don't know what this dude is on. I don't fucking care. The dude's in shape. You want to knock him? You try getting into a tenth of that shape and then get back to me. And I mean, I don't know, 90% of the population? More Saratoga water. Zip. So this is okay. Never mind. So, and some of them he throws on an undershirt like that, and then he throws on a sport jacket. I can't pull that off. I know Damian Broderick, who's like a clothing influencer on Instagram and YouTube, that's part of his thing that he can pull off. He's a British folk who does that sort of twist on his style. I don't think it's anything I can pull off, and not something I don't know. I feel like I don't feel comfortable doing that. I step out of my comfort zone a little bit, but that's not something I can do. But he's not doing it in this episode. First of all, the pants, very on point. That's a flat front with a slight crease in the middle. That is a total pair of pants I'd wear. Now, the shirt, he was wearing, if you roll up your sleeves, it's one thing, but I can't do the short sleeve button down shirt. The cocktail shirt like that doesn't work for me. My buddy Zach can pull that off. He's also like 240 pounds and 6'3" and jacked to the fucking nines like this guy. He could probably pull that off, but it's not my thing. Wait a minute. That's my biggest problem with Ashton right there. That's my only problem with Ashton right there. I mean, this right here. All right, he's putting on a dress shoe, and no socks. Foul! You ever put on a pair of shoes and then worn them for a night out with no socks on? You realize how disgusting your fucking feet are by the end of the night. And you might as well, after you're done, take those shoes, don't care how much they cost, you're throwing them in the trash because they stink. I don't care. I mean, you wear some of them no-seam socks, you put those on, and then you put on your shoes. Unless you're wearing like an open leather sandal, like you'd wear if you were in like Mexico or something. But there's no openness to that thing. Just threw on. I don't care how pedicured, this gentleman is. That is in my opinion, and from my research and from all of my faux pas, a huge no-no. That, don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. Nope, that's just a regular cocktail shirt. He could pull that off, though. But the button's still open. All right, he's rocking he's got the little Joe Rogan nappy sack. Good for him. Going down. Saks Fifth Avenue. Did I buy something from them? Oh, yeah, I did, and it fucking broke.
Thank you so much. Oh, my God, this is unbelievable.
Oh my God, a black guy.
Oh,
Byron.
Sir. Thank you so much. You too, bro.
Well, first off, good on him. So Ashton Hall, he's a current influencer right now, rocking the Saratoga bottled water in every freaking video he can. And there's some value to some of the things he does. And I'll break down I want to be positive about this guy. I mean, first off, I don't care who you are. Please, unless it's a vintage shoe, and by a vintage shoe, I don't mean Crocs. Crocs are out. But if you're wearing shoes, put on socks. All right? There may be some exceptions to that rule. You don't have any of those exceptions. But I mean you. I don't mean Ashton Hall. I mean the population of the world. Now, he starts off with a little bit of ice bath for his face. It is actually quite refreshing early in the morning that he obviously, in some of his things that he does, he displays what time it is in the morning, and that's fine. Now, at 5 a.m., I do enjoy getting a little cold water on my face before I have a giant cup of hot black coffee, but I do enjoy it. There was one area where he, one time or a couple times, he takes a banana and he takes it and he rubs it on his face. All right, well, I don't know what you're getting out of that. There's some sugars, there's some potassium, maybe some antioxidants. I have no idea, but quite frankly, the banana on the face thing, I don't know. It may not be for me. I think there probably are some better outlets, but that's his thing, and it seems to work for him. He's got a bit of a crease in that pectoral muscle right there, but I mean, nevertheless, the dude's sliced up. The dude is super sliced. So the ice water to the face thing, I like it. It's nice. It's refreshing. Might offer some benefits to your overall complexion in your face, which might not be a bad idea. I don't know if I'd want to waste a whole bottle of glass water on it, but hey, he's the one with the Bentley with the, or is that a Bentley? I think that's a Bentley. It's either Bentley or a Rolls. I'm sorry. I apologize to Bentley or Rolls Royce if you're one or the other. But in either case, he could probably afford to do it, or Saratoga is sponsoring him, which product placement does pay a lot. I mean, look at the Transformers movies. But he's doing that, which is cool. It's a good habit. The lemon, awesome. If you're going to put it on your face, absolutely. Lemon water on the face, lemon water in the body, absolutely fantastic. I have no problems with that whatsoever. So, and then he goes and he does some sauna work, which I'm a fan of sauna. I love challenging the body, whether it's long-term benefits or short-term benefits, whether it's ice bath or I'm not an ice person. Ice to the face, yes. Ice bath to the whole body, no. That's not how I start my mornings. It's not my thing. The sauna, though, I would kill for a sauna every single day. That would be so nice. It's so refreshing, so great for the pores. I love that feeling. That's cool for me. I like that. I have no problems with that whatsoever. The dude's obviously getting after it early. I wish I could use a gym bag like that, but unfortunately I can't fit my whole life into a gym bag that size. It's not going to work. I got to reach from. Love that shower head. Absolutely love that shower head 100%. Bit of a metrosexual with the facial hair, and I have no problem with that. Those calf warmers right there is something I should probably invest in. Not something I would show off, but quite frankly, I get strained calves often because they're just always tight. Stay hydrated, folks. More product placement with it. But, there's a lot of, I'm not going to sit here for hours. I'm not going to critique the guy. He looks damn good. He dresses very well. Obviously, there's some goofy, typical influencer shit involved in his stuff, but everybody else's. But overall, he preaches to an extreme. He preaches time management. Time management is one of those things that I struggle with. Not in a bad way, but I struggle with because it's something I discipline myself with. And I've talked about getting up at 5 a.m. or getting up at a decent time where you have a couple hour buffer between when you start your day and when you really have to be mentally on point. 20-minute increments in everything you do. So if you wake up, you get to, have your coffee for about 20 minutes. I mean, how long does it really take to drink a cup of coffee? You see people who go to like Starbucks and they will, first of all, they'll go and buy a cup of coffee and then they will sit there for 3 or 4 hours doing what? What are we doing? Oh, we're doing schoolwork. Don't you have Wi-Fi or something back at your place? It's so 20-minute increments for coffee. Are you spending 20 minutes in the shower? Unless you're shaving your whole body, I don't see it. And quite frankly, how much hot water do you really have in that studio apartment of yours? So these are some items to take into consideration when you're watching this. But 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes tops with some hot coffee. 10. An average shower is between 7 and 12 minutes. After that, your clothes is a few minutes, brushing your teeth, mouthwash, hair, another 15 to 20. If you're putting on lotion, add on maybe an extra 5 to 7. You should be out the door within 1 hour to 90 minutes. If you're doing all of the necessary stuff. But after that, if you go to work for 6 to 9 hours, obviously you're doing that. What are you doing after? Are you going to the gym before? Are you going to the gym after? There's 45 minutes to an hour and 10 right there. Then you get back. Do you have this disciplined understanding of how to meal prep appropriately for that night and for the next day? And then when do you get to bed? Do you get to bed at a decent hour? These are things that are, if you can increment them, a little bit more, if you can master this a little bit more, you'd find that maybe you can get an extra 20 minutes, an extra 30 minutes, extra an hour of maybe sitting down and clearing your mind and taking down some notes or paying bills or, I don't know, that condensing of time into increments allows you to get stuff done with little reminders here and there. Your whole life doesn't have to be a giant time warp, but at the end of the day, you do have to appreciate. You have to be really appreciative of those of the the time you're wasting, and then ultimately cutting that in half, and then cutting that in half, so you can get, other shit done.
Boy, I'm gonna need this water tonight.
So, Ashton's stuff is ultimately positive. Some of it seems a bit silly, maybe a bit staged, but ultimately, people talking shit unless you're not him. The guy's got money. He legitimately does have money. Maybe not as much as you think, but ultimately, the guy's probably got money. He probably markets very well. He probably gets his sponsorships on point. He probably has some leftover football money. And he's not the only one. So obviously the game that he's playing, he's winning at. I understand that everybody thinks the game is rigged, whether it be the stock market or the Instagram market or whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, the game is rigged, but it's still, in my opinion, yeah, the game is rigged to an extent. There's still a game. You can still participate, and you can still succeed. So quite frankly, you should take some of his things that he's putting out there and use them to your benefit. If he's preaching time management, take advantage of that idea, that concept, and see how far you can go with it. If he's preaching physical fitness and mental fitness, take some of that concept, use it in your daily life. Nutritional focus, you've seen a lot of his videos. He's eating well, even though the food is not being prepared by him. But take that into consideration. Use that concept towards your own self-well-being. Other things, journaling, writing, whatever. Take the stuff into consideration. The guy's, at the end of the day, he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. He's just maybe a little more disciplined than the rest of us, myself included sometimes. So what else we got here? So yeah, like I said, that Saratoga Springs water, it's not a big deal. I mean, let's see. Here's a bottle, 6-pack for $8.49. Here's a 28-ounce bottle for $2.99. This is through Instacart, which I don't think I've ever used in my entire existence. It's not really my thing. They preach themselves as more of like a luxury thing. It's spring water. They got sparkling spring water, and I guess they got still water. It's like, all right, cool, fine. I mean, first of all, if it's in a plastic bottle, you're kidding yourselves either way. Plastic bottles are terrible to drink out of. They're just terrible in general. Anything plastic's fucking terrible for you if you're ingesting enough of it. I mean, that's where you lose me. Generally, if I buy anything in plastic, I put it in glass immediately. Just because I don't want any more chemicals that are in that plastic to seep into my food or my life and my body ultimately. I probably already got enough of that garbage in my system. I don't need to. But I do cut corners my olive oil, I cut a little corners. I buy the plastic bottle, which I'd rather not. But ultimately, I do try to cut back on that. There's definitely some scientific evidence, as far as plastic chemicals, and if you're olive oil in your canned products, in your drinking products, in how you store your food. Yeah, it's in there, and you need to highly consider possibly making some adjustments so that you are getting a little more health out of your long-term goal. Achieving some goals in your long-term health, if I even said that right. Sorry. I've definitely got some tiredness today, but I'm going to do my best to get through all these points here before we close up shop. I got a couple more podcasts to do before I go on my hiatus, so just wanted to FYI that. Option 3. So item number 3. I am getting into wine a little bit more. I've discussed this a little bit, but I wasn't really sure what I was into, so I've been doing a little more of a little more palate exploration now that I'm able to. So we talked about, I think it was a few podcasts back, where I talked about St. Francis wine. It's like a Sonoma out of California wine. They make a Merlot, they make a Cabernet, they make a Pinot Noir. I had a bottle of it from like 2019 Pinot Noir. It was delightful. And I feel like there is a difference if you buy a bottle and you save it for a couple of years, that there actually is a legitimate flavor profile difference that I think I tasted and I ultimately really liked. So I started like getting a little more like, all right, let me try this Argentinian Malbec, and let me try this Pinot Noir that's a couple years newer, and then what's some dabbling in that, and then ultimately I dove into my stash that I have here, because I do keep a small collection, probably about 12 to 15 bottles of alcohol. Most of the booze I barely even touch, but the wine I dip into maybe a bottle once every other weekend, and the ones I tended to like, obviously the Pinot Noir from St. Francis I thought was really good. The Merlot was excellent, absolutely excellent. But I bought a bottle of Curmudgeon. Let me grab that, actually. Let me grab that really quick. Hang on. We'll be right back in 3, 2. There's not going to be any cuts. Curmudgeon. There we go. This is Curmudgeon. This is a bourbon barrel aged from 2019 red blend. So this red blend consists of it's a Cabernet, a Pinot Blanc or something like that, a Chavin, whatever like that, and then like something else. And then it was aged in bourbon barrels, I think for like 6 months or something like that. So Curmudgeon bourbon barrel aged red blend. This is a 2019. It sells for like $16 a bottle in the state of New Hampshire. Anyways, we have excellent liquor stores. If you didn't already know that, I mean, it's legitimate. Our liquor stores are fucking awesome. All right, they're like churches. So I've had this for a few years. I finally opened it about 2 weekends ago. And it was spicy. Like it had an incredible palate to it. So I'm gonna leave that up there. It's got the old man on it, Curmudgeon red blend, from California. But the flavor profile was, in my opinion, as a wine beginner, which I'll probably always be, it was awesome. It had a lot of profile to it. Like it had a nice, smooth red blend, but then the flavors were layered, and then the bourbon barrel was strong. Like it hits. It's like, oh damn, like that. You almost like you got what you paid for. Like sometimes reds can be boring, flat, dry, unsavory. They don't pair well, and that turns a lot of people off with red wine. Now, those who buy cheap wine like Barefoot or Skinny Girl or what's the other one? Oh, Apothic. You're just drinking fucking rubbing alcohol, and it's not good. There's nothing. You're paying $6.99 a bottle for a reason, where you might as well have just fucking had a steak and a Diet Coke, because that's about as flavor profiled you're going. So I played with this. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I really liked it a lot. So I went out, and the problem is when I went out to get another bottle, I forgot the name of what I was buying. I was like, so I went up to the cash register lady and, product specialist, whatever the fuck their name is. And I asked her, I'm like, do you have there's a red blend I'm looking for. It's got I think it's called Conundrum, and it's got like a angry old man on the front label, and she knew what I was talking about, but she couldn't put her finger on the actual name of the bottle. And so I thought I saw it, Conundrum. I guess they changed. I was like, I'm thinking at the time that they changed their name, or they changed the labeling on the bottle and stuff. Because I looked up Conundrum on the interwebs, and I found Conundrum. I found it on the shelf, and I'm like, I guess this is the bottle. And I wasn't 100% sure, so I bought the bottle. Paid like, I don't know, $20 for it or something, whatever. And I was like, okay. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, is this actually what I bought? I didn't have a receipt. I'm like, I'm not buying. I'm not gonna return. I didn't know returning alcohol. I'd never done that before. So I was just sitting in the car, and I was somewhere in Northampton. I was finishing up something at the police department, and then I was like, and I had a eureka moment. I go, oh, It's not conundrum. It's curmudgeon. You stupid fuck. So I had a wino moment, and I went to the Northampton liquor store, and I went there and I went, first of all, is it possible to return a bottle of wine? And they're like, you have a receipt? No, but I do have the bottle of wine in my car, and I actually know what I'm looking for. I'm looking to ultimately exchange it for something else. And they go, sure. So they got me a price estimate on what they would give me for it. They gave me the money back. I went and got 2 bottles of St. Francis, obviously, a bottle of St. Francis, because they didn't have curmudgeon in stock. So I got a bottle of St. Francis Merlot, bottle of St. Francis Pinot Noir. They said we don't sell, we sell curmudgeon, but we do not keep it in stock. It's a warehouse item only. And I'm like, huh, all right, but we sell it, but it has to be by the case. That's like, by the case? I've never purchased anything. I've never felt it's ever been appropriate or worth it for me to purchase something in a case. A case meaning 6. Normally a case can come in 12s as well, but this case ended up being 6. He goes, but we can have it to you in a week. And this in the state of New Hampshire is $15.99 a bottle, which if you're spending between $15 and $20 a bottle for red wine, that is, and I will tell you, that is 100% respectable. If you're spending $15 to $25 a bottle for wine, that is perfectly acceptable. If you're planning on, now, the reason I would argue is you're going to buy that bottle for $15 to $25 and you're going to put it in your shelf and you're going to leave it for a year or 2 years or 5 years because you're going to let it sit and age. Now, some wines, some reds don't age well. They just don't. Well, depending upon how what kind of blend they are, the conditions that they're in, or what have you. But some don't age well. But I'm not keeping this shit forever to sell at Sotheby's auction. I don't think I'm gonna get anything out of it. I got 1 bottle that's 15 years old. I have no idea. It's called Coderone. I don't know anything about it. Somebody I talked to does, but I don't know shit about it. And so 15 to 25, you're gonna let it sit in a cabinet or a rack or a cellar or something for a couple of years, and then you'll open it. And then instead of having like a 20, so I could go out and buy curmudgeon right now, but it'd be like a 2021, 2022. But ultimately, if you wanted to get a 2019 or a 2018, but this is a 2019, you probably have to spend. First of all, that's more of a vintage. You're going to spend more money because that stuff's generally not available, from what I understand. So you want to get a more of a vintage. You're going to spend more money. That's the math, I believe. So I'm probably going to buy. I'm like, sure. So I ended up getting a case of 6. I'm like, fuck it, why not? For $16 a bottle, I'm going to take a bunch of these, throw them in the rack, let them chill for, probably 6 months, a year, 2 years, maybe grab a couple more of the racks. I mean, there's a ton of them available, but I'm going to let some of them rest for a couple of years and see where it goes. My goal is to drink them ultimately because why not? I haven't touched like booze all that much, if at all, because ultimately it's the summer and I'm getting into a cutting stage, and alcohol has a significant effect on your body and your metabolism and all that stuff, and I don't want to play with that too much. I really don't. I do fairly well for my summer cut, and I don't want to jeopardize that, so something to take it. But I have to admit, this was an excellent wine. I did buy a case of it, and I'm enjoying this little adventure into the red wine world. White wine, I couldn't give 2 fucks about. It doesn't. I mean, there are some that are very crisp and pleasant and peary and fruity and whatever the fuck. If you pair them, pairing food with wine is an absolute thing. It does exist. It's a very good idea. I don't seek it out. I try to make it available and convenient for me, but ultimately, if I have food on staff, if I have food on hand, I have wine available, okay, cool, put the 2 together, have a great old time. But don't be surprised if you find me with a fat, juicy piece of red beef and a tequila sitting next to it. But, so yeah, if you're able to get a chance to if you want to try something different in your red wine, you want something that's not boring, there's Three Finger Jack, which is a bourbon barreled aged wine, which apparently is good. And then there's Curmudgeon, which is also a bourbon barreled aged wine, which in my opinion was excellent and definitely doesn't disappoint in terms of flavor profile. So yeah, there you have it. So I figured I'd introduce you guys to that. Curmudgeon is Curmudgeon. I'm sure you could get that correction on the internet, but it just says on the back it's bourbon barreled from Cali. It's ill-tempered, difficult, and cantankerous. Sure, whatever. Sounds like a fucking cologne commercial. We take this as a compliment because it means we don't just follow the trends. We create them. We choose to age our expertly crafted red wine in Kentucky bourbon barrels. This bold, structured blend will lift the spirits of even the most disagreeable curmudgeon. It was made in a sustainable winery, which, good on you. So I got 6 of these bad boys in the way. They said they'll be ready in a week, and they'll call me when it's ready. Woohoo, look at me, pretend rich guy. So, yeah, there you have it. I was going to look up an article about something, and I totally fucking spaced it. I want to look into this because this is something we should maybe learn. Hyperthemesia? Is that what it is? Oops, sorry. Themesia? Let me see if I spelled it right. Ha ha ha. There we go. All right. So, according to Wikipedia, which is obviously right about everything because it's on the internet, hyperthemesia, or themestic syndrome. Autobiographical memory is a condition that leads people to be able to remember an abnormally large number of their life experiences in vivid detail. It is extraordinarily rare, with fewer than 100 people in the world having been diagnosed with the condition as of 2021. A person with hyperthemesia is called a hyperthemesiast. It's identifying 2 defining characteristics: spending an excessive amount of time thinking about one's past, and displaying an extraordinary ability to recall specific events from one's past. So, although she describes her mind like having a movie running, she's not recording her word verbatim in its totality. One day, after several hours together, she was asked to close her eyes and tell her 2 interviewers what her 2 interviewers were wearing. She was unable to do so. So, there's time distinction, exceptional memory uses. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so as far as my memory goes, there's a lot going on. I don't remember a lot of the shit that I did yesterday. Honestly, it just doesn't. What was yesterday? I don't know. What did I do? Probably went to the gym. Depends on what hurts. If something hurts, I went to the gym. If my brain hurts, I talked to some stupid people or I did something stupid. I don't know. All I know is, have a gummy, drink some chamomile tea, go to bed, pass out, wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock, got to pee like a racehorse, do that as quickly as possible, crash again, wake up at 5, do the damn thing all over again. I mean, do I recall things in my life like in vivid detail? I think I do. I've obviously my concern was I wasn't going to remember any of it, so I wrote it down, published it, recorded it, posted it, so that these things do exist. That I can, at least if something were to happen to me, or if my brain was not so hyperthemesiastic. I don't know if I have this or not. I'm just saying this is like one of those things about recalling one's past in vivid detail. I can, because I record a lot of this shit and I have a lot of thoughts, but these podcasts I do, unless I re-listen to them, I don't remember anything about them. I'd be like, I don't know. Now I'll go and do a week in review and I'll go and recall some of the things I did. A lot of the times out of context. But the idea is like, yeah, remembering these things in vivid detail. If you can do that, I don't know if that's a problem, but it's something you play in your head over and over and over again. And it can be a bit of a nuisance because if you have that vivid detail, you remember things and then you start digging into more of those details about those things, and it can kind of drag you down a rabbit hole from like past mistakes or whatever. It can drive you kind of crazy. You start discovering things about one's past that has to do with other people or with oneself, about things you said or did or noticed or saw, or you start discovering new details about each time you go for a ride, or you have a routine or a path that you take every single day, and you just start discovering good things and bad things, and you're just like, huh. And that these paths are like, it's like a little multiverse in your head, and it can distract you quite often, and not always for the best. But these are things that I deal with, and that is another thing about remembering stuff in vivid detail, where something that males do experience with, or we're more focused on things. We're more driven by the idea of things. We enjoy things, cars and tools and devices and whatever, things that were tangible. So we have emotions that are tied to material things that are very women especially. They look at you and go, "Why are you having this deep moment with this item? Insert item." Well, and you've had the item for a long time, but it was something that it was a small, inexpensive item or whatever, but it wore down, over time, maybe, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And now it's down to its last nub or last wire or something. And as it gets towards the end of something, you kind of almost like grieve in your head about, I've had this thing for a long time, and I remember when I first got it and all the things that I applied it towards, and this item and this memory and all that. And you attach those memories to those material items, and men do it a lot more aggressively. Statistically anyways, or whatever. And that's one of those things. It's just like, I have stuff here that I will refuse to part ways with. Some stuff I don't give a shit about, but it comes to my car. My dog doesn't count. Chase does not count. That's just he's something special. He's a living, breathing creature, a heartbeat that I cherish deeply. But there are some things here I kind of look at and I go, yeah, that stays right where it is. And it's something because we generally don't speak about these items, we just kind of sit there and we quietly by ourselves acknowledge the moment of this little item and the memories and the thoughts that bring us back that bring us back to certain times in our life that we are attached to. And it's hard to, I guess, I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly to a general audience, but it's something I've seen that I can kind of get a better understanding of now. It's like you just have this item that you've had for a long time, and it might be an insignificant item, but the memories attached to that item are huge. It's a material thing. It does happen to everybody. It happens to women too, but men, we're not able to express it in a manner where everybody can understand it. But we make the most out of these small items to the degree where we become very emotionally attached to them, where ultimately we can just replace them, but we kind of, I don't know, we just have a little trouble letting go sometimes. But it's an item. It's a having vivid detail, though, having the ability to have vivid detail of memories and past items, and then taking those material items and having a strong emotional connection to them as a male. When you put the two together, it's a lot. It's a lot. But you can, if you're trying to get a better understanding of what I'm talking about, you can Google or look up the emotional attachment men have to material items, and see if there's something that you can look up as far as that makes sense because men are more interested in things as opposed to people. We give two shits about people, but the items, that means a lot to us, or it can. And people who have a vivid attention to detail or a strong memory recall, that would probably, I'm assuming, only amplify that attachment. So, Coming on to the last segment of this podcast, the April 22nd deadline. I think that is going to be the last episode of this chapter of the podcast. That ultimately, we've been here since I'd say June of 2022. The podcast took a strong hiatus multiple times. That one was, I'd say, over a month and a half of just kind of sitting dormant. It hasn't been easy these past few years of trying to make do in this cramped space. But I figured that is the appropriate time where I'm going to have a solid week and a half to pack everything up, figure out what stays, what nothing stay. I mean, what comes with me, what gets pushed aside, making sure that this podcast is properly packed up, move to its next location. And then I have time to just, honestly, turn my brain off. Turning my brain off is going to be or honestly switch gears to the next thing that I need to do. And honestly, trying to sit down for me, doing an episode of this podcast is very difficult. It's an exercise in discipline every single week to sit down here for 45 minutes to an hour and just talk about things, whether it's my experience or things I maybe find interesting or little things that happened to me throughout the week or things I saw in the news or, influencers or products or emotions or whatever, and new practices. So, but by then I'm going to be not going to be thinking about this. I'm going to be packing up the American flag behind me. I'm going to be packing up all these pictures and all these little accoutrements and all that stuff. And I'm going to be putting that aside so that I can focus on the one thing I really want to do, which is getting back to the ocean, which is, it's official. So these are that I was like, what's a good day? And I figured that's a good one. It's going to be, I don't know how long the episode's going to be that week. It might be 15, 20 minutes. It might just be a see in a month or something like that type of thing. I don't know when I'll come back. My thought process is it'll probably be sign off on April 22nd. Moving day is essentially the first weekend of May. And I think probably maybe 2 weeks after that, once I truly feel comfortable about what my first topics are going to be and where my emotions are and what my routine is going to be, it's like, okay, do I feel comfortable enough hitting that record button again? Or do I have any projects that are going to be in the interim between now and then that I want to get done first before I open up shop for the foreseeable future, a little closer to heaven, as I call it. So that's my thought, but that's going to be it. So basically, we got, this is the first week in April. We got, I'd say, about 3 more to go for the month of April, and then I'm also going to be like, all right, time to shut this part of my brain off and focus on this really important thing. The thing that I've worked on for, first of all, I started thinking about over 12 years ago. Well, almost 12 years ago. No. Yeah, about 12 years ago. I started thinking about 12 years ago. And now that I'm here and I'm about to go back there for the foreseeable future, this is something I don't want to screw up. I don't want to make any mistakes. Money-wise, emotionally, physically. I'm like, let's be ready for that, for those magical few days of getting there in one piece, shutting down everything here, and then waking up that day when I feel like everything's good and be like, all right, let's unpack, figure out where all the furniture is going to go, how am I going to set up, how do I want to start off on the right foot, and let's proceed forward. And let's see how the format plays, and let's see how I feel down there. What feelings am I going to have when I unpack everything and I sit down and I look around and I see the sunlight and I see the chaise lounge all set up and I see the coffee station and I see all my stuff in places where all of a sudden the brain is in a different organized spot. Like the organization of your environment will play a huge role in my opinion, on how to, or play some role in determining how I roll through an episode. Will determine my energy levels, determine everything that I do. And I'm curious to see, am I going to return to a form of when I first started this podcast, when I first had like a really nice studio. But back then I had a lot of rage. There was a lot of inner rage where I would be pent up all day long, and then I could come home for an hour and explode, and then have a little bit left over for more content on a Sunday. That's wild. So let's see what kind of energy I can recapture. If I can get a third back of what I had back then, it's like, all right, I got something to this. But that's going to be something. That's the date. That's something I'm going to be honing in on. So the new chapter in my life, which has ultimately, it's, stock market always goes up, and my value, my outlook on things, my emotional development has gone up, and it's skyrocketed. It's inflationary for sure. So I'm looking forward to it. I was down there today. I was dropping off some stuff I was selling. And I have to admit, from what I saw to what I'm getting into, I am very grateful for the hard work and the, timeliness of which I attacked the situation. So this is going to be pretty cool for the foreseeable future. But I don't want to milk it any more than I do. I mean, more details to come when I start opening up, and I'll give you an idea of what I'm looking at, how I set everything up, and then ultimately the environments that I can record in. Like, can I have more than one recording setting? Can I have, obviously, the studio? Can I have a garage studio where my Mustang's in the background? That'd be cool. That'd be a nice little part. I could probably build that. And then like a backyard studio, like a little patio where I could just sit down there and the sun's coming up, or, it's a beautiful day out. Why not just sit outside and record and give a few minutes to the sun gods? You know what I'm saying? So that's something I'm looking into. But we'll determine that flexibility once I get down there. In the meantime, you can find me on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. Supplements of the day were 4-Brain Focus and Eternal Energy Grape Flavored. So, those compared to other 5-hour energy drinks, I mean, you get a 6-pack of these for less than $5. So for me, I do one a week. I take 2 of the 4-Brain Focus for every podcast. So this one bottle has lasted me quite a while. I don't touch it for anything else. So Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. Email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com, or you can hit me up on my website. Go to the contact page. And you can also DM me through Instagram. Like, subscribe, share, donate, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are downloadable. Video, Rumble, and YouTube. And you can also, of course, download it and stream it directly from my website at positivesarcasm.com. In the meantime, thank you for listening, watching, subscribing, and I'll check on you next week. Recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast, getting closer for entertainment purposes only. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation.